True and false. Fukuzawa Kiichi believed that Western civilization would harm Japan and therefore focused on self-strengthening. False, right? China focused on self-strengthening. Fukuzawa Kiichi thought Western civilization would help Japan. He wanted radical reform. Meiji was the emperor restored to power in the Meiji Restoration. True. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was the immediate cause of World War I. Yep. The Battle of the Somme was a great British victory that helped shorten World War I considerably. Right. No one really won or lost it. Didn't really help shorten the war. The Lusitania was the name of an American battleship that helped in World War I. Right. Was sunk by the Germans, almost led the Americans to go to war. And eventually it was one reason why we went to war. We just waited a bit beforehand. It wasn't a battleship, right. Thank you. It was a passenger cruiser. The Zimmermann telegram was a German attempt to get Canada to invade the United States. False, right? To get Mexico to invade the United States. Woodrow Wilson supported national self-determination and because of that was opposed to the League of Nations. False. He supported both of them. John Maynard Keynes believed that deficit spending was key to rescuing countries from the Great Depression. Yep, just went over it. Franklin Roosevelt believed that deficit spending would lead the United States down the road to communism and therefore opposed it. False. He did it to save democracy and capitalism, not to get rid of it. Porfirio Diaz was a caudillo who ruled Mexico for a long time but was eventually overthrown in a revolution. True. Yes. Francisco Madero established a military dictatorship in Mexico and was assassinated because he was so cruel. False. The true part is what's true about this? He was assassinated, but what kind of government did he establish? Right, he established a liberal democracy, and his problem was he was too nice. Right, he tried to make it a democracy for everyone, including the supporters of Porfirio Diaz. The generals who supported Porfirio Diaz, who Madero kept around, rewarded him for his high-mindedness and tolerance by assassinating him. Right, so he's assassinated by the former guy's military. Pancho Villa represented the interests of the caudillos and the landlords. False, he opposed them. He was for the peasants. But remember also he was unsuccessful, and eventually he's assassinated. Miguel Pro was a Catholic priest who was falsely accused of wanting to attack the government and was executed. True. That is true. Lazar Cardenas' disastrous economic policies caused Mexico harm that would take decades for it to recover from.
I don't know.
False. His policies were good. And I brought this there. He was a socialist. He was a socialist president of Mexico who engaged in this kind of 5-year plan, central economic planning, helping out the farmers with land reform, nationalizing oil, and this all led to Mexico's GDP to go way up per capita. So he was successful. Ataturk believed that only a return to pure Islam would save Turkey.
True.
False. He wanted a secular Western government. Remember, he's the guy who got rid of the caliph. Gandhi drew exclusively on Indian ideas, developed his ideas of nonviolent resistance. False. Henry David Thoreau was influenced by Jesus and himself influenced Gandhi.
True.
That is true. That is true. I forgot to mention in class that when Thoreau comes up with his ideas of civil disobedience, he's actually referring a lot of times to the teachings of Jesus. I like to connect this back with History 121, where I spent a lot of time talking about Jesus. Benjamin Mays was influenced by Gandhi and influenced Martin Luther King. True. That is true. See, I notice it got a little quieter because we didn't just go over this, so make sure that you review the other material as well. The Alawites were the majority ethnic group in Syria who resisted French rule. False. What's false? They were a minority who supported the French against the majority Arab Sunnis. Yu Kuan Sun was a young Korean woman who helped organize the March 1st movement. True. Chiang Kai-shek united much of China through the Northern Expedition. True. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Communist or anti-communist? Anti-communist. Mao Zedong was leader of the Chinese Communists and believed that only through urban workers could China achieve a communist revolution. False. Rural people. He emphasized the rural peasants. He was a communist, but he thought the revolution would happen through the rural peasants. Vladimir Lenin proved that a communist revolution was possible when the Communist Party organized workers and served in the vanguard. That is a true statement. Right? Remember, Russia was only semi-industrialized, so they didn't have like a broad, large number of workers. So he focused on just the small number, organized them. He said they can lead and take over the cities, which the semi-industrialized Russia, those industrialized cities were the most important ones. Through ruthless means, including the use of gulags, Joseph Stalin was able to industrialize the Soviet Union. True. Ho Chi Minh embraced communism because it promised to allow him to win national independence for Vietnam.
True.
That's true. Yep. Adolf Hitler rose to power because he won the majority of the German vote. False. He never won the majority. He won a large number, never the majority, but he then used that to seize power. Got himself appointed chancellor. Not president. They didn't have a president. Benito Mussolini was the Italian dictator who copied fascism from Adolf Hitler. False. Mussolini develops fascism. Kristallnacht literally means night of broken glass and refers to anti-Jewish riots in Germany. True. Blitzkrieg refers to the Nazi strategy of lightning war in which different parts of the army work together to quickly take territory and defeat the enemy.
True.
True.
I thought it was all of them.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was like all branches, not just the army.
Well, that's a good point. I could maybe should say military. That would probably be better. But good point. Barbarossa is the term for the Soviet Union's invasion of Germany.
False.
False. Other way around. German invasion of Soviet Union. Franklin. Okay. That's all the far we got on true false.